Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. We got some news last night, and it's good news. It's news that we've been waiting for quite some time, and kind of dropped at a weird time, but we're happy to get it. We're finally getting information on when cards are dropping down the different series. So when Series 4 and Series 5 first came to the game, they mentioned that cards would move down through the series over a period of time so that they are more accessible to all of the players. And now we finally know when the beginning of that is happening, as well as when we can kind of regularly expect cards to make their way down the pools. So we can see the cards here in the graphic moving from Series 5 to Series 4. It is Super Skrull, Shuri, Black Panther, Valkyrie, and Bast. So a lot of the cards that first dropped when we got Series 4 and Series 5 are moving down. Honestly, this is better than I expected. I thought they were going to honestly slow roll this a lot more than they seem to be doing. I thought they were going to take a lot longer to drop through the series because there's kind of an interesting problem with this system where they obviously want people to buy these cards on release for the 6,000 price, but they also need to make them accessible for the people who are just playing the game without spending a ridiculous amount of money on it. And, you know, we've seen with the Season Pass, especially in the beta, when it moved to Series 3 after 2 months, it seems like that's basically what's happening here. You're getting the cards moving down in the series roughly 2 months after they came out. As Black Panther was the Season Pass card for November, and the other Pool 5s here dropped around then. Now, it's not all the Pool 5s, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Series 4 drop as well, so these cards will be going from Series 4 to Series 3, She-Hulk, Absorbing Man, Titania, and Luke Cage. So this is really good. I think these are actually like the best, some of, if not the best, Series 4 cards right now. So it's really nice that they're going to be more attainable for players. And if you do finish your Pool 3 collection, by the time this update drops, you will get these all pretty quickly in just a handful of collector's reserves. So that's pretty good. They honestly did a much better selection than I was expecting. I was kind of worried that they might drop these in a much slower rate, either taking longer to drop them or only dropping a small amount of them at a time. But this seems pretty reasonable. I'm pretty happy with the cards that they're chosen, and the fact that we're going to be getting a series drop every month. They pretty much confirm it down here. So when cards drop series, they become 10 times more common in reserves and much cheaper in the token shop. We look forward to doing a series drop every month. Series drops currently require a patch, so the exact date may vary. But the patch with this series drop and the battle mode is currently planned for January 31st. So if there are any last minute issues, it could be delayed. But right now, the plan is for the end of the month. So that's pretty good. We know when all these cards are going to be becoming a bit more accessible. And especially with a lot of the ones here like Shuri and Bast, it's really nice that they are moving down because these are some very powerful cards. And I think it was really frustrating a lot of players that they just didn't really have any chance of getting them, and now we have a bit more of a reasonable time frame. We know these cards are going to go down to Series 4, and then I would not be surprised if the month afterwards they go down to Series 3. So now they do mention, and they mentioned this when the series were first introduced, not all Series 5 cards were going to rotate down, and they kind of address this here. So when choosing to drop cards, we often start with some of the ones that have been in that series for the longest. So it's going to be the ones that came in first will go out first, except for the big bads. All cards will eventually become easy to obtain enough through series drops. However, there are currently 2 cards we do not plan to drop down a series. Our favorite 6-cost supervillains, Thanos and Galactus. They're just too epic. So I kind of predicted this a while ago when they first said not every card is going to drop down, and I figured Thanos and Galactus, because of their kind of legendary status, they wanted to keep them as these super rare status kind of cards. I'm not too surprised to see this. I'm honestly just happy that right now, at least, they're only not dropping these 2. I was a little worried that they were going to have a larger pool of Pool 5 that they didn't drop, but right now it sounds like everything is dropping except these 2 cards. And this definitely is very helpful for players because now we know when we can kind of expect to have greater access to a lot of these cards, which I think was the thing really frustrating a lot of people. It was so up in the air. We didn't know if these cards would be dropping in a month, 2 months, 3 months, etc. So it's really nice to kind of finally have an idea when we can expect these to be accessible to a larger amount of the player base. Now, this next thing here is pretty interesting. Introducing First Edition. We're excited to announce a new feature that we're working on, First Edition badges. If you acquire a Series 5 card before it moves down a series, that card will show a First Edition badge when you inspect it. A way to show that you got the card when it was brand new. This feature will take us some time to build, but our goals are to retroactively apply First Edition badges to cards earned before the feature comes online, and to show the badges on all variants and infinity splits of the card. So this is nice. You know, one of the things I mentioned in the beginning is it's kind of a tough balancing act to make the card appealing when it comes out, and not, you know, make the people feel regret for spending 6,000 tokens. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of people who bought Shuri in the last month for 6,000 tokens, and now she's moving down to 3,000 tokens. Definitely can be a little bit of a feels bad because we didn't really know when to expect that. I know for me, I have no regret about I spent 6,000 tokens on Valkyrie and Bast, and I feel like I've gotten my tokens worth out of those cards, so I'm happy that they're moving down and are going to be more accessible to other players sooner. I think they're really fun cards to play around with, and definitely strong cards. But this is a nice kind of concession to say, hey, if you did pony up the 6,000 tokens, you get a little bonus. So I think that's a nice way of making there be a bit less buyer's remorse for the people who decide that they want to buy the card they really like at 6,000 tokens. So this is cool. It sounds like it's going to take some time to be implemented, but since it is being applied retroactively, if this is something that interests you, maybe it makes it a little bit worth spending the 6,000 tokens on a card you really like. Then they mentioned Token Shop improvements. The Token Shop has been live for a little while. We've had some time to experience what we like and don't like. We love how it allows players to make progress towards the cards they want the most. We don't love that the hottest, newest cards don't feel very accessible to players who haven't completed Series 3. Once players finish Series 3, they start earning a lot more tokens on the track, but before then, Series 4 and 5 can feel out of reach. We're starting to experiment with changes we could make to let players who are still progressing through Series 3 feel quicker progress towards the new hotness. It's going to take us a little time to make these changes, but our goal is to make the experience of earning Series 4 and 5 feel much better for folks who have not completed Series 3. With so many new cards dropping to Series 3 and 4, and more dropping every month, things are about to get spicy. Can't wait to see what wild decks everyone will build. Yeah, so this is good. The Token Shop definitely could use some improvements. You know, it's such a weird thing. How it'll show sometimes the same card over and over again if you only have 1 or 2 cards left in a series, and sometimes it takes forever for, you know, a new card comes out and you want to get the new card like Darkhawk, and maybe you even have the tokens, but you don't have any agency over when it actually pops up in your shop. So that's something I'd like to see them change a bit, but it's definitely a good thing to make these cards a bit more accessible to players in Series 3, as Series 3 is very long. It takes quite a bit of time to make your way through Series 3, and as cards continue to drop through the series, Series 3 will get bigger. So right now, most players are finishing Series 3 at around 3,000 collection level, while in the future, that number is probably going to get higher. As we already see, we're going to have 4 additional cards making their way into Series 3, probably at least another 4 making their way down the following month, etc. So it'll be interesting to see. I think overall, this is a lot of good news for the game. I think it is, you know, nice that they actually finally have a timetable for this, because I was really worried that they were going to take a lot longer to drop cards down, and they weren't going to drop as many cards. So this definitely helps ease some of, I think, the big frustration a lot of people have with the game. I do wonder if this was if deciding to release this information had to do with a lot of the backlash surrounding the update in the bundle, because it seems strange to me that this wasn't, like, you know, included with the update post, and it was released pretty late at night. So I do wonder if that kind of boiling over and people getting kind of upset about the bundle pricing and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if that had an impact on us getting this information a little bit sooner, though I imagine it sounds like they have a lot of this figured out for the next update, so they've probably known for a little bit, but nonetheless, I'm happy they decided to share it. I think this definitely helps with a lot of the bigger acquisition issues of the game, and we'll just have to see how things play out, basically. I know some people have been less than thrilled that, you know, the card they paid more for is going down, but personally, I think that's kind of the wrong mentality to have. This first, you know, waiting to see when these drop was always going to be the most questionable time of you don't know if you might be wasting tokens. But now we kind of have a precedent. We know that these are dropping every month, so it's a lot easier to evaluate if the token cost is worth it for you, or if you'd rather just wait a little bit longer and then have a lot easier access to the card for a cheaper price. So that's good. I think it's good that these are dropping, because it was really a shame that we are having such powerful and such interesting cards that a lot of the player base couldn't access. So hopefully that helps out with that. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you think about the series drop stuff below, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.